From the campus of the University of Nebraska at Omaha, consider this with Kathy Wyatt, a program of issues and information behind today's news.
Here's a cute fact. Sometimes a sad moment feels happy. And sometimes a happy moment feels sad. I don't always know why. That's just what it's like to be Austin.
You're doing awesome, dude. Go on, get back out there.
I can't.
Sure you can. Watch this. Hey, Ozman, do you want to fly?
Yeah!
I wish I could enjoy anything as much as my son enjoys everything.
Look, Dad, it's a dragon!
Because Austin, every day can be the best day. Every moment, the best moment.
This is the best day of my life!
You just have to be able to see it.
Hi everyone, I'm Kathy Wyatt. Welcome to the 28th season and this week's edition of Consider This. Our topic, The Unbreakable Boy. The young actor who portrays Austin is joining us via Zoom from New York. A special welcome to Jacob Laval. And here in the studio, the real-life father and son, Scott and Austin Lorette. Thank you all for being here and welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, Scott, I have to start with you.
Okay.
In a recent email exchange that we were having, you described this time as a simply surreal moment in your lives.
Absolutely.
What have the past few weeks been like for you?
Well, it's actually been more like the past 6 months or so because just the whole experience. I mean, I made a book with the biggest publisher in the world. I've made a major motion picture, and it doesn't happen. It really, the odds of something like this happening and actually making it to the big screen, it's a moonshot for it to happen. But the last few weeks, though, it's just kind of revved up. Every day, it's just more and more and more. And last week, I was in San Francisco, Sacramento, Yuba City, Oklahoma City, and New York for the red carpet on Wednesday night. So it's just wild, crazy.
Well, and to think that all of this began with a single journal entry. I want
Right.
you to, if you could, take us back to that time in your life and why then you decided to put pen to paper.
Well, I had a really bad night. I guess that's what you could call it. A lot of folks that are in recovery would call it their rock bottom, and I had that, and I had the fortuitous happening that a friend had taken me to a meeting the very next day, and all around that same time I just started writing in little 3x5 notebooks, little spirals, just bullet points. It was purely for selfish purposes, and it was just to get thoughts out of my brain. That turned into bigger notebooks. It turned into a blog. I'd called it Austentistic, and it just kind of grew from there. It was all for me, though. It was all for therapy, just to get that out of my brain, because I've got this ADD-addled brain that won't stop, and that was a good way for me to really, purge myself of some things and get it out there on paper so I could look at it and see it. And I guess it helped. But here we are today. I ended up writing a book, which I didn't think I was going to do. I wanted to make a TV show.
Wow.
I wanted to make a television show.
All
originally.
of this now taking place in Red Oak, Iowa. We're going to
Right.
put a map up for our viewers just to
Right.
show them where Red Oak, Iowa is. What's important for us as viewers to know, thinking about this interview, about that town?
Well, that's where I'm from. Me, my three brothers, and mom and dad. That's where I grew up, and till I was 18 years old, and then I left and went to college. And some things happened when I went to college too. I had a really good time, and I left behind, though, some of the most important things, which is my faith in God. I left that behind when I went to college, and so it took years for that to just manifest itself, to be kind of completely rid of my faith. And then that night happened, and that kind of tripped the trigger that enabled me to get a lot back of my life.
How did you meet your wife?
I was she likes to tell this story a lot better, but I was at a mall with a friend of mine, and she was managing a structure clothing store, and I was looking at pants. I was looking at pants pea green pants is what she'll refer to them as. And if you see the film, you'll understand the significance of that. I mean, one of my emails is the green pants. But anyway, I'd met her there and I went back. It was a blizzard. They were closing the mall. And I asked her out. And it was January 19th. And just the significance of that is that we had Austin on November 10th of the same year. And that was really wonderful. Coming up a strong Catholic with a strong Catholic mother, that was a really good time. That was a really good conversation.
Wow, yeah. And you have 2 sons.
Right.
We're going to put up a couple of family photos. Tell us what we need to know about your family, Scott.
Well, my wife is kind of what holds everything together. She's stronger than she'll ever know, and she won't admit that. And she's the most giving person that I'll also ever know. Austin, he's 30 years old. He works at Target, and he works at Marcus Theaters, which is just wonderful. They're both great places for him, and we're so happy for those 2 places. And Logan is now an Omaha police officer. He's been out of the academy now almost 2 months, and he's going to be a great officer. We're just thrilled for him. He's engaged. They're getting married in April, and his fiancée is a brand new PA. So they're going on with their lives, and because the story happened when they were like 12, 13 years old. So it was quite a few years ago that it actually happened.
You think you could pack anything more into this year, Scott? I don't know.
No, it's actually just been the last several months. The last several months have just been, and we thought that when the movie premiered, like it did last week, that things would we could take a breath. It's just a lot more is happening as well, just a different kind.
Let's set the stage a little bit for the book and the movie. Talk about your family in the early years.
Well, it was more about, I know that I did make a conscious decision and I thought about my upbringing. I thought about my mother, and I thought, all I could think about in the back of my brain was, I'm not going to be that guy that walks. So I knew that we were going to have a child, and so I made the decision to just, okay, here it is, for better or for worse. And Teresa and I didn't know each other. People are like, did you love her? I'm like, I don't even know if I like her, let alone love her. And she would say that no, she didn't love me. And which anyway, that's how we started. We were like roommates for several years, and we worked on it, and it was pretty rocky. And I didn't have the life that I thought I was going to have. I don't think Teresa did either, and we both dealt with that in different ways. So I ended up being a part-time dad, not always present, not always there. And meanwhile, we actually lose a baby, and then shortly after that, Logan came along, and we're like, we have another child now. But still, we were just kind of getting to know each other, and that went on for many years.
So, and not unlike any family, challenges to be had with all of that. What would you say are the biggest ones that you faced?
Well, Austin, he was born with the same genetic bone disease that Teresa has, which is osteogenesis imperfecta, and he just breaks his bones really easy. And there's not very many bones or types of bones in his body that he hasn't broken. Same with Teresa. And then you've got autism, and then the thing we don't really talk much about is he had open heart surgery, and he had pericarditis and some other heart issues. But the heart and the bones really aren't that big a deal. Those are pretty easy. I mean, I've seen Austin get a broken bone, and then I'll look at Teresa and she'll be like, I'm eating a sandwich, you take him. It just becomes so, it was just routine. It was our norm. It had become our norm. And, but his autism, as that kind of manifested, he was diagnosed with so many different acronyms, the whole alphabet soup. And it dominated too. Logan became and grew up the man he is today, much so because of, all of this. And I saw him as a routinely more mature and grew up a lot faster than his peers. And he's more of he's not an introvert, but he's more of a public person, or private person than his mother is, or me even.
What kind of a relationship do the brothers have as a result of all of that?
Typical. And he's very protective. I mean, he drives him crazy, of course, but Logan is very protective of his brother. Absolutely. Not yet, yes.
Yeah. So one day at a time. You know, we hear that quite a bit. What was it? You said at one point you left your faith behind. At what point does that faith come back in terms of asking that question of how you overcome the challenges that you have described? I mean, do you remember a time, a moment when you're thinking, it might be a good time to have that back now? I mean,
no, it wasn't a given moment in time.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything to just put a pin in. It was just kind of dribs and drabs, and Teresa getting me back into church, but also I saw that my meetings and my sobriety were, you know, they were directly related. They were directly related to each other, because the stronger my faith became, the stronger I was in my sobriety, and they both held each other up. So I always say this, if one were to fail, the other would surely follow.
Wow, okay. And out of all of this then, Scott, came a book, right? We're going to put up the cover, the old cover, the former cover, I will say, because you have something new and exciting here as of the time of this recording. The book, tell us a little bit about that in terms of, you know, how long did it take for you to reach the end of that and to get it published, and what kind of a journey was that for you?
It was simple, but it wasn't easy. And by the way, the picture, my amazing wife took that in Cape Cod. That is Austin on the cover. And HarperCollins, which is the publisher, they kept the title. Two things that they never do. They never take the author picture and the author title. They didn't change a thing. But it was all research. I've got all the support in the world. Just my wife, my family supports everything I've done regarding our story 1,000%. Even though Logan sometimes will be like, oh, I don't want to be, you know, he'll be like that. Yeah. But I had to find out what it did to write a book. I didn't know. I'm not a classically trained writer. I'm a sales guy. And I found out you had to get an agent. I had to find out what a query letter is. And my query letter was 2 pages long, which is not the way you do it. But people liked it, because I ended up sending out the query on a Friday afternoon to all these different agents. 11 out of 15 responded on that Friday afternoon. I had an agent in one weekend, which is unheard of, because people can take months or years to even get an agent. And then we interviewed writers, and a bunch of them, and I ended up with Susie, and she's a best-selling author, and she helped me rewrite it. And so 99% of the words are mine, but she helped me kind of rearrange, because it was essentially like 40 different vignettes, short stories, and we put it back together and rearranged it chronologically, and she made it look pretty and look good. And we had multiple publishers who wanted it, and I went with HarperCollins. But all along, I wanted to make a TV show. So as soon as it was published, I kept looking, and I ended up. You want me to continue?
Yeah.
I ended up with an independent film company. A friend of a friend hooked me up with this indie company, very small. But once someone in Hollywood gives you attention, it's exciting. It really is. All while I'm so excited on cloud nine, and my wife is off on the side going, you know, because she saw some things that I didn't see and I didn't want to see. I was so thrilled, and it was a very painful experience. But what had happened, though, I made a trip to Manhattan for my work, and I tell this story probably more than any other story, but I walked into a pharmacy. I'm into old school shaving called wet shaving, and so is Austin, so is Logan, but I hone my own razors and all that type of stuff. But there's not a lot of stores that sell those products. I knew the owner from a Facebook page.
Okay.
It's called Pasteurs, and Leon. And I took a book, and he's like, put your number in there. Are you going to make a movie? I'm like, no, I'm going to make a TV show. And he said, well, you need to do something with my brother-in-law, because he does something in Hollywood. I'm like, okay, whatever. I said, but I'm going to be in LA in 4 or 5 days. And I was, and I get this text message from someone, I don't know who it is. And Teresa's like, I'm texting her, and she's like, type it in real slow. And so, you know how it auto-populates?
Yeah.
So I started typing slow, and I'm like, oh my God. I say, OMG, holy cow, should I wear the green pants? That was my text message. And I sent her a picture of this guy in a Calvin Klein ad.
Yeah.
And she never, 5, 10, 15 minutes go by, she never responded. I looked down on my phone. I didn't text Teresa. It was Peter Facinelli, who's Dr. Carlisle Cullen, the vampire in all the Twilight movies. That was the text message I got. That was his brother-in-law in L.A.
Interesting.
We met the next day, we sit down and he looks at me and he says, so tell me about the green pants. And we became friends over a year's time. And it wasn't until I fired the indie company that I called him. I said, I got a hold of Reese Witherspoon, I got a hold of Drew Barrymore. Do you know Drew? I'd like to get in front of her. And he didn't call me back, or excuse me, he didn't text me back, but he called me and we talked for 2 hours just about the story. And we formed a partnership. And that's how it all
Kind of came about.
Well, he's the biggest cheerleader of my family. He's one of the good guys in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I love him like a brother, and he tells me that every time we talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Peter. He's just amazing.
Well, let's get into the movie because I know we've got Jacob holding on here. I want to put up a photo of the movie family. So first, I guess we can put up the graphic. And this is what the book cover looks like now.
Right.
But that's the movie graphic. So briefly tell us who these people are, and then we're going to go to Jacob.
Well, in front with taking the selfie is Zach Levi, or Shazam, or a lot of people know him from Chuck, who plays me. He plays me. It's gone, but the gentleman in the background played my dad, Todd Terry. Patricia Heaton plays my mother. Megan Fahey, her star is really bright right now, but she plays Teresa. Gavin Warren plays Logan, and Jacob plays Austin, of course.
Okay.
Tyler plays my best friend Tyler Davis.
Yep.
Awesome.
And one thing, though, that you'll hear Zach and Peter and everybody say, though, in fact, a local gentleman that I communicated with was Alexander Payne. And he'd read the book and loved it and said, do not make a movie unless you can get the right person to play Austin. And we got so lucky in getting Jacob. I can't tell you.
Let's talk to Jacob Laval, who joins us via Zoom from New York. Jacob, what was it about this movie that drew you in?
What drew me in most was probably just how unique and one of a kind the role of Austin is. Like, he's like really positive and really happy in everything he does. So when I got the script and I went through everything, it was like really exciting to me to be able to portray this role and do everything I did in the movie.
Yeah, not an easy role, Jacob. You must be immensely talented. I have to ask you, how do you prepare for something like this? And as you're telling us, we're going to put some B-roll of the movie up. So talk about how you prepared.
Thank you. It was really difficult to prepare because there were like so many different like lines I had to go through. Like there even like in the audition process, I had to do like 4 monologues. Those were the scenes I had to do for the audition. So it was really difficult, but I prepared with the help of my acting coach. Her name is Dana. She was really helpful through all of it. She helped me during the audition. We had a ton of fun doing the audition. Thanks a lot to her. And that was the preparation. We went through all the lines. We looked through the script eventually when we got the script, and I tried to connect myself to Austin. Meeting the real Austin Lorette was definitely really helpful too.
Yeah, Jacob, when you met Austin, what did you think? I mean, other than, oh my goodness, it's the real Austin, right? What did you take away from that encounter with him?
Probably like how similar he was to me, like, because we not only did we like a lot of the same stuff, but like whenever we went into a new situation, we were always very happy and very excited to enter it. So it was definitely really great to get to meet him.
Okay, and what are you hoping, Jacob, that folks will take away from this movie after they watch it? I'm sure there's going to be some time to process, but what are you hoping that they take away?
I'm hoping that audiences most take away the ideas of always being positive no matter what struggles you're going through, like Austin does. He has to go through a lot. He gets sent to a mental institution at one point. At one point, he like breaks every bone in his body, basically. Yet he still always comes out of it with a very positive outlook. And I hope that's what audiences most take away.
Jacob, just for fear that we might run out of time, I want to ask you now instead of a little bit later, what's next for you?
I've just been doing school like normal. I'm still acting. I've been doing lots of auditions. I haven't gotten any of them yet because the teenage years are the slowest years in the acting business. However, I'm hoping, especially with this movie, that we'll have a lot that we end up getting soon.
Okay, and we wish you the very best. Jacob LaValle, who plays Austin Lorette in the movie Unbreakable Boy, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us and just for putting your heart and soul into that role. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Austin, I have to ask you, how did Jacob do playing you?
What'd you say?
How did Jacob do playing you in the movie?
He did a great job. He played me very well. I like how he did a good job playing me. The one scene that I've always liked in the movie with Jacob was when he's sitting on the boat. Can I say?
Sure.
When he's sitting on the boat with my dad, and my dad finally realizes how I see things, and we're in the clouds like the heavens, and we're on a boat, and he sees a dragon flying over, and there's a rainbow.
That's pretty cool.
And my second favorite scene is the one when Logan gives Tyler the skateboard.
Spoilers.
Don't say anything if anyone on campus can
Spoiler,
hear this.
Yeah, we don't want to do.
So
we don't want to do
don't
spoiler.
tell anyone.
So, Austin, I understand you're 30 years old, and I think viewers would appreciate you sharing what a day in your life is like.
It's pretty hectic, yes and no, with my parents. It can be different and difficult being autistic. But like someone that anchors me is my brother Logan and Tyler. They keep me there when I get upset or sad or lonely or even happy. Tyler and Logan always help me understand my parents a lot more.
Yeah.
And I just think Logan, Tyler, and even Allison, those are the three people besides our mom and dad. Allison's like my sister, but I've known her since we were little. But she's not my parents' child. It's just she's someone I've known for years. Well, she's family now. And Tyler, so you know the kid with the curly hair in the trailer? That was Pie the Bunch. He plays Tyler Davis in the movie. So there's a story behind that. And Tyler and Logan and my mom and dad mean the world to me. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. I was going to ask too, being a kid, a teenager, a young adult in this world can be very challenging. For viewers who are watching and maybe having some trouble in their life journey right now, what would you say to them to help them get over that?
I'd say I will always pray for you, and I know that things get rough, and you can help anyone. Just never give up on people. It's not too late to help people. I've actually helped a couple of bullies that have changed, and I can't say the one about the movie because I don't want to spoil it, but I've changed two people that used to bully me that are now I've reconciled with, but I don't want to say their names live, but it's just I think you can change people, and anyone can become better of themselves and then become like have a great family and kids, and then grow up and get out of their habits of what they've done. Like there's someone that I love that's family. I don't want to say his name, but he used to be married to someone that's my aunt.
Yeah.
But I worry about people that have troubles, and I want them to get better. And
well, thank you for that.
Like my dad did. So
thank you for that. Before I ask your dad one more question, I want to give you a short amount of time. You wanted to do a shout out. What was the shout out that you wanted to give?
I wanted to say hi Taylor, hi Tay Tay. If you're listening to the radio, I'll see you at the movies. And you know what, Tay Tay? As they call you, Ice-T, with all your bling you have, he has a lot of jewelry.
Yeah.
So Taylor, keep being you. You're my brother, and I love you, Tay Tay. And we're Call of Duty zombie guys, so we love zombies.
Okay.
Right on, Tay.
Cool. Thank you, Austin. Okay, Scott,
Yes.
we have like a minute and a half remaining.
Okay.
What is next for the Lorette family, as if what's happening now is
Well,
enough, but what's
actually,
next?
I thought with the red carpet and everything in the premiere Friday night that things would slow down, but it's just different now. There's a lot happening. I have more happening with the story. I still have my partnership and relationship with Peter, so there's a lot more to come.
Okay.
Absolutely, and it's exciting. It's a thrill. Teresa has things she wants to do, so there's so much that we have on the plate that it's sometimes hard to decide what we want to do because there's so much opportunity.
Talking with Scott and Austin Lorette today.
If I could, one thing, because people ask this, what do you want people to take away from your story? It's the number one asked question when they go into a movie theater and they walk away. And it's what we hear, and we are hearing over and over and over again, which is, I hope that you just see or pull one part of our story out of it that relates to your own self, and you can go, oh my gosh, that's me, So if it touches someone that way, and I shared with that podcast I was talking about, it can change your life. The story has that kind of impact. Talking with Scott and Austin Lorette today, and also Jacob Laval about The Unbreakable Boy. Folks wanting more information can go to unbreakable.boy.com. Thank you both so much for being here and for sharing your story. Thank you. You're welcome.
I have a question.
Awesome. Can you hold on for one moment? Yeah. As we close, a look at UNO's College of Public Affairs and Community Service as seen through the lens of Wyatt Lair, a junior here at UNO. We will see you next week.
Oh.
Consider This is an issues and information program produced by UNO Television in the School of Communication. More information and program archives can be found at nebraskapublicmedia.org/considerthis. If you'd like to share your comments about this program, call the UNO School of Communication at 402-554-2600 during regular business hours, or send an email to consider.this@unomaha.edu.
There seems to be like this gathering right here of really great minds and really great ideas.
I think it's a great moment, to teach a UNL student.
Being here, I get like a jump start on my journalism career.
I found a lot of people that are interested in like the same things as me.
Sort of a lifetime changing career for me in the best way it could happen.